So, ladies and gentlemen, someone asked me a very powerful question. Very important, maybe not powerful, but very important. A question as to why I don't smile much. Why don't I usually smile? Sometimes, a lot of guys, the people that watch my videos, they think I'm too serious. They think I'm too serious. And I think that is very important, okay? I just want to talk a little bit about myself today. Now, this is not the first time I've had this question. I've had this question so many times. I've had this question actually dating back in time. I've had this question like maybe from 10 or 12 years ago. Random people would just ask me, "Oh, why don't you smile? Why are you grumpy?" Some people thought I was grumpy. Some people thought I was angry. Some people thought I was sad. Some people thought I was annoyed. So it's very difficult to know what I'm feeling because I don't show emotions. I feel emotions, but I don't show emotions, okay? I feel emotions, but I don't show emotions. I don't know if that makes sense. Now, we'll answer this question in so many different ways. Let's look at different ways that you can understand this. First of all, I've always been an introvert. I'm an introvert, okay? For as long as I remember, I don't remember myself being around groups of people, gangs of people, groups of people. Even when I was in school back in the days, it was just maybe one or two people around me. So I never really had to be around a lot of people. I always felt uncomfortable when I was around people. And I remember sometimes for me it would be worst case scenarios when you would invite me to like make a speech in front of a group, or let's say an audience, a group of people. It would be very difficult for me to make a speech. I don't even know how I started making videos because I've always been like a very introverted and very shy person, okay? I always never shared a lot of things that I was feeling, things about me with the world, with people out there. So this channel has actually helped me to kind of heal that wound, okay? It's like this was like a wound because I would later on realize that this has been like a wound that I've had over my childhood, okay? Having been the black sheep of the family, we're going to come to that. So being an introvert, you guys know that, of course, you don't stay around so many people, okay? You're always alone, doing your own stuff. Maybe you might meet a person or two, one or two. You might say hello, you might exchange some words with them, you might just go your way. And there's always not been a lot of reasons for me to smile. But actually, I can surprise you that for the people that are actually very close to me, they do know that actually I do smile and I do talk, okay? I'm very quiet at the first instance, first sight. I may be a very quiet person. But when a person gets very comfortable with me, or I get comfortable with those individuals, I can start even sometimes sharing very deep stuff, okay? And in that conversation, usually I may smile. I can't give a smile. So if you're wondering why am I not smiling, yes, I do smile. It's not that I do not smile at all. I do smile, but I do smile not often like other people. If I could say, maybe the way the extroverts do, or the way the people that are out there into the world do. I smile every now and then, depending on what the conversation is about, and depending on who is around me and the kind of joke they have made. Okay, so I do smile. Okay. Another way I can answer this is I've always been like, I've told you guys I've been the black sheep of the family, in my family. I awakened to being a black sheep of the family. That was around 2.5 years ago, if I can remember very well. So I've not been in contact for that time. And during my healing journey, I've also managed to discover so many things. Okay, I've managed to uncover so many things that happened back in the days when I was growing up, when I was a child, when I was growing up in the family home, and sometimes even in schools. And also, not only was I a black sheep of the family, but I was also a scapegoat. Okay, so You guys understand what they call the family scapegoat. So for me, it was like my father wasn't available. Okay, my father was never available. I could see my father. I could say 3 days in a week, 3 days in a week, and the rest of the days my father wasn't there. He wasn't available, so he wouldn't come home. So there was most of those days when I used to stay a long time with my mom. Most of the times, like 24 hours a day with my mom. My mom was an empath, by the way, and my mom passed on as well, around 99. So I never saw my father. My father was. I could later on learn that my father was a narcissist. Okay, and being around a narcissist, I could now understand the reason as to why I was always trying to shy away from the way I felt or trying to speak out on the things that I thought was necessary to speak about. Or let's say sometimes when I needed something very important, something that I really needed for myself as a child, you come to your father because our father was the provider in that time. My mom was a housewife, so she didn't work. So I had a very difficult time asking for my needs. I didn't know how to ask for my needs in front of my father. When I needed something, let's say, for example, I needed a shoe or I needed a cloth, I needed something for myself, I did not know how to ask for this. Okay, most of the times when I ask for some things, a lot of times it would turn into some kind of a confrontation. My father would think that I'm confronting him or something like that, and sometimes he would lash out. So basically, I had that fear. Okay, so it was all about the fear. I used to feel like I was very fearful of my father. Okay, of what he could say. Sometimes I was even sometimes beaten. I've shared this thing with you guys because I did a decision or I made a decision or I said something or could have been anything. Most of the times I could be punished. And this, I think, in my experience, it brought about a very deep childhood wound, of where I wouldn't speak because I was afraid to be heard. I was so much afraid to be heard. And most of the times I used to be grumpy. So let's say, for example, when my father showed up at some point, when he came from work and he showed up, uh, came back home, I would find myself, let's say, running away. Okay, so I didn't want my father to. I didn't want that face-to-face contact with my father whenever he came back home. Okay, so I usually found an excuse to run away, so he could come around and do whatever he did, and he went to the bedroom. So most of the times he would just come, get out of the car, hello, hello, whoever was around there. So he would just, make his way to the bedroom. That's where everything was. Television was there. The food always met him in his bedroom, so he never sat down with us to talk about his day or to share something with us or tell us a joke or something like that. So this is something which would happen like every day whenever he was around. But again, I've told you that he wasn't available. So he was usually available at home about 3 days in a week, like I've told you. So he was emotionally unavailable. Okay, if there was something, maybe we could see him or talk to him a little bit. It would be like for a minute or two. Go and do this or go and do that. Or sometimes he'll come around and ask you a question, then you have to leave. So for me, it was like a constant battle for survival. Okay, when I was growing up, I was like constantly surviving around the family. I didn't know what it was back in the days. I didn't know all these things of dysfunctional family systems, narcissistic family systems. I didn't know anything. So it was a very difficult moment for me to survive, to be myself, to make a joke. I would make a joke a little bit here and there with my siblings. Of course, we could make a joke or two, but still behind the scenes, I really realized that I used to be grumpy. And I remember something again back in the days that my siblings actually shared with me, my older siblings shared with me. They told me that when I was young, I used to have the most beautiful smile, okay? Very beautiful smile. And I think I even have some pictures back in the days when I was small. They used to say I had the most wonderful smile. Some people say that I used to smile like an angel back in the days when I was a kid. But as the time went on, growing up, whereby you had to defend yourself in every situation and circumstance, Every scenario that came around, it was like always you needed to defend yourself, because like as a scapegoat, there was always some barrels being pointed towards you from all directions, and always sometimes you had to defend yourself. Sometimes even about the things that you didn't know about, or sometimes the things that you didn't do. And this, I think, kind of killed my smile, okay, over time. Because you see, when this thing keeps on going on and on and on, it kind of kills your inner spirit, that spirit, that light. It kills your light, so that you cannot actually shine out, the way you're supposed to. So most of the times, I found it very difficult to, express myself. I was always usually a little bit like angry. Even if I felt joy, let's say, for example, there was something very beautiful happening, it was very difficult for me to express this joy with other people. Sometimes I would hold it within myself, because growing up as a scapegoat of the family as well, I used to hold back a lot of things. Okay, so because I knew somewhere, somehow, that maybe I'm going to say something to someone and they're going to shout out or lash out at me. So I kind of like was a laid back individual. Okay, so I'll just condense whatever it is I had within me. I'll keep it for myself. When I met some people that I could trust, like I've told you, I had a very, very small circle of friends. My father never liked me to have friends, never wanted my friends, actually. Everybody else would have friends and, do whatever they wanted to do. But usually with my friends, it was a problem, because there were some people that I wanted to hang out with most of the times in my childhood. And whenever they showed up at home, I was questioned as to what they were doing at home in the first place. And I was asked to release them and let them go. They didn't want to see them at home. So it limited me to having a completely very small circle, one or two. Actually, I remember in my childhood, maybe I remember only one person that every now and then I would go out and would meet. And I would never allow these people to come at home, unless my father was not around, of course. So I would never allow them to come at home. I would actually go out and meet them, and we would just go around and take a walk a little bit. So I do smile, okay? Now, over time, growing up, like I've said, growing up in narcissistic family dynamics, it is very difficult for a black sheep of the family, because you're always struggling to say something. Nobody wants to hear what you have to say, even if it's the truth, even if it's making a lot of sense. It's like your conversations and speeches don't matter. So basically, you find, like me, I found no reason at all to share some stuff with people, okay? It is until recently, post-awakening, when I awakened and I started understanding more about myself, who I was, and exactly what was going on in my life. That is when I decided to start actually sharing this stuff with people. But still, as I'm sharing this, as we're talking, I have about 42,000 subscribers. But I've told you, like, there's none of them is my family member, okay? I've got a very big family. If you guys do not know that, I've got a very huge family. We are a lot of siblings, steps and steps here, the steps there. But actually, on my channel, I can actually promise you that none of my family is following me, okay? I don't have any subscribers from my family. And even some of my closest friends, they're not following me. It's just a few of them. I don't even know who is following me, but I'm very sure none of my family members, they're following me. They may be watching my videos, of course, that is different. They can be watching the videos behind the scenes, but they're not really following me. Because you see, the moment the black sheep, I've told you, when the black sheep awakens, you kind of get out of this shell, okay? This shell of shame and shyness and, that feeling of guilt. You kind of get out of that shell and start to bring yourself out a little bit more to the world. And you see, sometimes the people that you've always been involved with, they do not appreciate that, okay? They don't want to see you getting out of that bubble. And most of the time, it makes them very uncomfortable, because for the very first time, they are seeing that you're able to speak. And actually, you're speaking a lot of sense. And it is actually threatening them, because now they're like, they have to swallow their words, okay? Most of the times, you have even disconnected from them and they have got to swallow their words. So it becomes a very uncomfortable situation for them. They will usually watch you behind the scenes, but actually they will not really come around to support you or your dreams or whatever it is you got going on with yourself. They will not want to be a part of that, okay? So that's what it means to be a black sheep and the scapegoat of the family. So that is how my smile was killed over time, okay? So from childhood, like I've said, this thing continued when I was, in my teenage years. It continued a little bit when I was adult, although I left home. I think I was around 19. The moment I left the family home, and I went on to venture into my own, my own world and find myself somewhere out in the world. So I lost my smile. That's what I can say. I lost my smile over time. So it is not like it's not like always you will find me grumpy. Like I'm always grumpy and moody and stuff like that. I've worked on that, okay? So those are the first things that I was working on my healing journey. I was trying to remember my smile, trying to remember who I was back in the days when I was a child. Where did I lose myself? So I was trying to pick up all the lost pieces, one by one over time. And the smile actually was one of them. So as we're talking, I'm still learning to maybe smile a little bit more. I do smile when, uh, I watch comedy or I watch something funny on TV or somebody cracks a joke. Maybe those days when I used to work, a person cracks a joke, I would come out and smile a little bit and share with them, but still I would retract back to my, something what is, familiar to me, because I did not expect that people would notice this, because even I wouldn't even notice this myself. But at some point I started seeing these comments coming in from here. "Oh, why are you so grumpy? Why are you not smiling? Smile." Sometimes we make a picture, people want me to smile. I actually am a very grateful person. I can tell you this, ladies and gentlemen. I've always been grateful, actually, all my life, regardless of what has really been happening around me, regardless of my situation. It has been very difficult growing up. It has been very difficult to survive. Okay, I've usually faced the most difficult challenges, I can say, in my entire family. So I've always had a lot of challenges here and there. So I'm very sure that a lot of black sheep out there, you can relate with this. I'm very sure that you know what I'm talking about. And if that has been the case, don't be afraid. You have to know that sometimes on this healing journey, these are the things you're going to discover about yourself. That you have lost yourself for a very long period of time, because you've been living around very toxic people, toxic parents, sometimes very toxic family members. They never wanted you to speak. They never wanted you to say anything. You're always made to shut up. You're always the last one to speak. Other people were allowed to speak. He was never allowed to speak. So most of the times he was like in this shell whereby you could rarely shine. Okay. So I think one of the most life-changing moments of the black sheep is when they awaken and they figure out what has been going on around them, and they start to understand the dynamics, what has been playing along in their families. And that's when they start to get out of this shell a little bit more and, put themselves out there in the world, and, speak their truth, blow the trumpet, speak their truth, live in their authenticity. Because at that moment, you don't have anyone to judge you. Because you see, you have been judged your entire life, and your light has been killed over time. So at this moment, post-awakening, it's like you don't have to explain to any family members, because they are gone, okay? You have detached from them and they are gone. So now you're able to live in your beautiful, authentic light and to shine this light out there into the universe wherever you go. So that's what usually happens in the life of a black sheep. But you have to remember one thing, that I do smile, okay? I have moments whereby I'm having a laugh with myself, maybe when I'm at home watching a nice series on TV, or maybe sometimes, I don't watch a lot of series, but when I watch something funny, I could smile every now and then, or I could smile if a friend makes a joke or something like that, but it is very rare, okay? So most of the times people think that, let's say some people see me and they think, "Oh, why is he grumpy? Or this guy, he looks tough." Some people say that when they used to see me in the beginning, they used to think that I used to look very, very tough and stuff like that. But actually when these people, because remember guys, that I'm an empath, okay? I've always been an empath. But regardless of whether I used to smile or not, people used to have a different perception of me. But when they usually came actually closer to try to understand me on a deep level, they figured out that I was a very warm and kind person, okay? So it was not even about the facial looks or the way I presented myself from the outside. I was a very warm person from the inside. So it's until a person came close to me and we started sharing stuff together, that's when they knew that actually they can even open up about so many things that are happening in their lives, and we could share a lot of stuff. Even sometimes we could crack a joke, okay? So let me know what you think about this video, guys. This has been a video about me, and I've been answering the question that I've actually met so many times along my journey, why I do not smile, okay? I do smile, ladies and gentlemen. Drop us a comment, let us know what you think. Like the page, share, and subscribe. You guys know that I do love and appreciate your support. You can book a session if you want to. If it regards narcissism, spirituality, or personal development, send me an email. All the links you need, you will find them in the description below. And until then, I will catch you guys in my next one. Denzo signing out. Much love and blessings. Peace.